Hey, welcome back to the next video in Cosmos DB series. In previous video, we had a little glimpse of Cosmos DB through the Azure portal. But as I said, there is so many wonderful features out there in the Cosmos DB that we should talk about, and we will gonna talk about it. And today, as I mentioned in the end of the video, we are going to talk about the performance of the Cosmos DB so that we could understand what was the request unit of throughput that we were getting the option when we created the Cosmos DB account. That's why I said the glimpse, because we did not enter in the depth of all these options. We just wanted to take the feel what all options are there. And now slowly and steadily, one by one, we are going to explore each and every option. And at the end of the series, we'll be all well educated on Cosmos DB. So let's start with the measuring performance. So in Cosmos DB, there are two parameters through which we can measure the performance. There is latency and there is throughput. Latency is exactly what we all understand. So if I have to explain, it is just like how fast is the response for a given request, or simply means the wait time. For example, when you type www.xyz.com, how long you wait until you would have the response back on your browser, that wait time is latency. So it could take seconds, it could take few milliseconds. It all depends how well your application is constructed. And of course, you might be thinking lower latency is the trait of a good application. So sure, yes, you are correct. Nobody wants the higher latency in their application, but we do have other factors that we need to think about it, and that's why it's a trade-off. And the best way you can tackle this latency is creating or keeping your infrastructure near the user, right? The best possible way to reduce the latency is to deploy your server near to the users. Now, as I was saying, everybody wants the lower latency, but there are other factors involved, and it's a trade-off, as I said, because you may have users everywhere in the world, right? But you cannot keep your servers everywhere near to the users. So, there's money involved, there is a cost involved, there is physical laws involved, but we have Cosmos, so don't worry. Let's see how less latency can we have. So let's take this example. Let's say your business is more dominant in some particular area, let's say Delhi or maybe New York. So you want to deploy your servers as near as possible to that particular city so the user can have the lowest latency as possible. Or let me say this, at least user will not face latency because of the network issues, because there could be another factor involved in the wait time. For example, your own server is slow, right? We all have faced those situations where we have to change the SKU of the particular server to get him a more power, right? So that is a different story, but here we are talking about the latency that's how we do it, right? So when we were discussing about latency, we discussed about it from user perspective, right? And throughput is more about database perspective. That's why I said if the server is slow, customers still have the latency, but the reason is different. So throughput comes in the picture here. Throughput is more about the performance of the database. It's from the database perspective. Okay. Now, how many requests a database can handle per second, we could say that is throughput, right? So that's how we can define the throughput. It could be a couple of thousands or maybe 10,000s. How many requests? Uh, Maybe every user may have one or more than one request, or how much workload your database service can handle. That is called throughput in very simple plain English. So how fast request is getting uh, is latency, and how many requests can be served within a specific period of time is throughput, right? So the power in a layman language, the power of the database to serve as many as requests is the throughput, and the wait time for the user is the latency, right? So as far as Cosmos DB is concerned, it can handle any number of users or any number of requests or whatever workload is there. That's how the Cosmos is designed for, heavy workload. It can handle heavy workload. That's how it is designed. That's why it's also Cosmos. There's so many other features as well, or factors as well, why the name is Cosmos, but this is one of them. But it all depends. It is not like any application would have that feature, because of course somebody has to pay, right? So it all depends how much throughput we need for our application, and we can opt of that much. And here we have RU. If you remember, when we were having a feel of the Cosmos DB while creating it on through the portal, when we hit on the container, it was asking for database, and it was asking for a container, and there was an option for the throughput. We did mention RU and the throughput. So that is the throughput in terms of request units. Okay. So it's more like, for example, I can say that I assign 1,000 RU to my database service. Now thousands are equivalent to a workload my database can handle. RU is the performance power for the database, or you can say it is the combination of memory, CPU, and IOPS. So how much CPU, memory, and IOPS needed by database service to process the request of users that will calculate as request units? I'm sorry, I got stuck. So different queries may have different, a requirement of the RU, just like different queries would have different requirement for the memory, CPU, and IOPS, and RU is the combination of all these. Just like if you remember, we have in data warehouse, we have DW, there was DTU in Azure SQL, so we got RU here in the Cosmos DB. Now, this RU is very transparent as per the that's how the Cosmos is made. You can easily run any query, and you can see how much charge RU is charged for you, and every time with the same query it would be same amount of for you. It is not like one, it is 10 for the same query. If you're running again, it would be more than double, or it's not exactly the same as it was at the first time. It is very transparent. That is that is a very good thing, and you can see the numbers as well under the request charge when you run the query. Now, when we create a database or container in Cosmos DB, we have option to select or to configure the throughput, where the minimum is 400. It could go up to 100,000, and even if you have a need to exceed the 100,000 RU, you can contact the MS support just like any other resource. They could understand your situation and they can give you more. So basically, Cosmos DB can provide you practically unlimited throughput. Now, let's say you define a particular throughput to your application. For example, the minimum is 400, as I said. For example, you thought my application will only need 1,000, and you assign that much throughput to your application. Now, if your application needs more, then what will happen? It will not assign more throughput by itself, it will give the error for sure. It will give, your application will start giving the error. So what you need to do, you can configure the notification just like in any other. For example, in VMSS we did configure uh, 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 the condition, right? For that much of CPU we need one more VM to spin up. Similarly, we can have the notifications here just like in alert configuration. We do just configure the notifications so that you would have the information on the desired value of your application, let's say 70 or 75 or 80 percent of the consumption of your throughput. Then you would simply go ahead and increase the RU values in advance, and you would save your application to uh, fetch the error for you, for the customers, right? So, and throughput can be, when you're creating the Cosmos DB, there was account at the top, then there was database, and there was container we are creating inside it. So throughput, these RUs, we can define it on the database level as well as on the container level. If we are defining it on the database level, it will get divided to the containers. Okay, so that's how the entire performance of the Cosmos DB works. And I, I, I was about to close the video, then I thought, let me summarize it, what we were talking about here. So we talked about the performance measurement for the Cosmos DB. The two main factors is the latency and the throughput. Latency is the wait time. Throughput is the power of your server, how many requests it can serve in, right? And we talked about the RUs. RUs is the combination of all those like storage, CPU, memory, uh, and it gets divided if it is applied on the database level, right? And you can set up the notifications. So these are all things we talked about it, and I hope this would be helpful. So let's meet in another video with some more interesting features. Thank you for watching, and you have a good day. Bye-bye.